Hello, my dears. This video is over systems word problems, and we're just going to do several examples of systems word problems. So here's your first one. Okay, first problem. You and several other people are helping your aunt move. At lunch, you volunteer to go out to buy sandwiches. You get 6 chicken sandwiches and 6 beef sandwiches for $30. Later in the afternoon, everyone is hungry again. You go to the same shop and buy 4 chicken sandwiches and 8 beef sandwiches for $30.60. What was the price of each type of sandwich, assuming sales tax is included in the price? Okay, so when you have a system of a word problem and you know you're going to have a system of equations, the first thing you want to do is set up a verbal model. And this isn't something I'm going to require you to write down, but it is what you should do in your head the first thing when you're trying to figure out this word problem. So for us, our verbal model is 6 chicken sandwiches and 6 beef sandwiches for $30, and then 4 chicken sandwiches and 8 beef sandwiches for $30.60. Those are the two main pieces of information. And then we want to know what's the price of each type. All right, the next thing that you need to do, and it is required, is label your variables. And you can use X and Y every time if you want to, but you don't have to. You can use whatever you want. I like to use letters that make sense so that when I see them, I automatically remember what they are. Like for this one, I'm going to use C, and C is going to represent the price of a chicken sandwich because we are trying to find the price of each type of sandwich. Note that I didn't just write chicken sandwiches. You have to say what it is, because if you just wrote chicken sandwiches, people might think you're talking about the number of chicken sandwiches, or you could be talking about the weight of the chicken sandwiches, or anything else. You have to be specific. All right, and then for beef sandwiches, I'm going to use a B, and that is going to be the price of a beef sandwich. After we come up with our labels for our variables, we can take the verbal model that we underlined here in purple and take the labels that we now have for chicken, price of a chicken sandwich and price of a beef sandwich, and we can create a system of equations. So for this system, I'm going to say 6 chicken sandwiches, so 6 sandwiches times the price of a chicken sandwich, plus 6 beef sandwiches, 6 beef times the price of a beef sandwich, is going to add up to $30. And then the second sentence, 4 chicken sandwiches, 4 chicken plus 8 beef sandwiches, 8B equals 30.6. So when I ask you to solve a word problem, I have to see your labels. I'm going to look for that. I need to see your system set up. You can solve the system any way you want to. You can use graphing, substitution, or elimination. It doesn't matter. But that's the next step. You need to solve the system using the method of your choice. Okay, I scooted it all up so I could keep working. The solution then. For this, I'm going to use elimination since it's already in standard form. I'm going to eliminate the C. So if I want to make the C's go away, I would have to multiply the first line by 2. And get 12C plus 12B equals 60. And I would need to multiply the second line by -3 so that I could make my C's cancel out. So that gives me -12C minus 24B equals -91.8. And I'm going to now add these two lines together. The C's cancel out. 12B minus 24B would be -12B equals, and 60 minus 91.8 would be -31.8. And so B equals, they're both negative, so that goes away, 2.65. We're solving the system, so we have to solve for B and C. So we now need to go and plug the 2.65 into either of the original equations. We'll just go with the first one. 6C plus 6 times 2.65 equals 30. So 6c plus 15.9 equals 30. C is equal to 2.35. And then the last thing that you have to do when you're doing a word problem is actually answer the question. And the question in this problem was, what was the price of each type of sandwich? So you need to write a full sentence that tells me the price of each type of sandwich. So for this problem, a chicken sandwich costs $2.35 and a beef sandwich costs $2.65. That's how you would answer the question. So to recap, we want to make sure that we label our variables. We want to make sure we've written out the system of equations. You need to find the solution using whatever method you want, but I need to see work on the page. And then you can't just tell me C is this and B is that. You have to actually answer the question with a full sentence. All right, let's try another one. Okay, Matthew stopped for gasoline twice on a long car trip. The price of gasoline at the first station where he stopped was $2.50 per gallon. At the second station, the price was $2.64 per gallon. Matthew bought a total of 36.1 gallons of gasoline and spent $94.01. How many gallons of gas did Matthew buy at the first gas station? So my verbal model is going to be, I'm just going to say it. We know that the gallons of gas from the first station plus the gallons of the gas from the second station add up to a total of 36.1 gallons. We also know that the cost of the gas from the first station and the cost of all of the gas from the second station was $94.01. So what we are trying to find is how many gallons of gasoline. So we need to have some variables. And I can't use G's because, for gallons because they're both gallons. So I'm going to go ahead and use an X and Y this time. And I'm going to let X be the gallons of gas from the first station and Y be the gallons of gas from the second station. Once again, notice how specific I am being. Gallons of gas. You can't just say gas because that could be how much gas. It could be how the price of the gas. It could be lots of different things we don't know. So we need to be specific. All right, now I'm going to set up my system. I have X plus Y equals 36.1 because that's just adding up our gallons. And then I have 2.57X because that's how much the gas at the first station plus 2.64Y, so that's how much you paid for gas at the second station, equals 94.01. All right, now I need to solve the system. Buy car, buy gas station. Okay, this time I'm going to use substitution. So I'm going to, I'm trying to figure out only the first station. See, the question says first station. So I'm only trying to figure out X. So if I isolate Y and plug it in, then I can solve for X. So I'm going to make this Y equals 36.1 minus X and plug it in here. Using substitution, I replaced Y with the expression that is Y. And then I'm going to do some magical math and boom, come up with X equals 18.486. And now normally when I'm solving a system, I want to solve for X and Y, but my problem only asked me for the gas at the first station. So I don't really need to find Y. So now I just need to answer the question with a full sentence. Matthew bought 18.486 gallons of gas at the first station. A shipping company charges a fixed amount for their services and a certain amount per mile that they must travel. If a 50-mile trip costs $112 and an 80-mile trip costs $157, find the fixed cost and the cost per mile. So for my verbal model, first I want to figure out, I'm trying to find the fixed cost and I'm trying to find the cost per mile. And I know 50 miles is $112, 80 miles is $157. So the first thing I'm going to do is define my variables. So for this problem, X will be our fixed cost, and Y will be our cost per mile. All right, the next thing we're going to do is set up a system of equations. I know that a 50-mile trip costs $112. So for my first trip, I'm going to pay the fixed cost, and then I'm going to pay the cost per mile times 50 miles, so plus 50Y, and that's going to add up to $112. The second trip is going to also cost the fixed cost, plus 80 miles this time times the cost per mile, and that will be $157. So now I have my system of equations. This one works really well for elimination. Just subtract the second line from the first line, and I have negative 30y equals negative 45. Do a little division, you get y equals 1.5. All right, so we know y. Now we can plug it back in to find x. X plus 50 times 1.5 should equal 112. X is 37. So we know x and y. We need to answer the question with a complete sentence. So I said the shipping company charges a fixed amount of $37 and $1.50 per mile that they must travel. Mrs. Mueller invested $1,400, part at 5% and the rest at 8%. Her total annual income from these investments was $100. Find the amount invested at each rate. So I'm going to let X be the amount of money that she invested at 5%, and I'm going to let Y be the amount of money she invested at 8%. See, she took her $1,400 and she just basically split it into two piles. Part of it in a 5% interest account, and part of it in an 8% interest account. I don't know why she would choose that, but I'm sure there's lots of reasons, risk and everything. So then the total annual income from these investments was $100. That means that the 5% of the part of her money that was invested that she gets to keep, she gets back, and the 8% of the other part, when you put that all together in 1 year, she got $100. So we're going to set this up as a system of equations. We know a couple of things. We know that she invested a total of $1,400, and she split it up into two piles, the X pile and the Y pile. So X plus Y equals $1,400. We also know some stuff about the interest she earned. So she earned 5% of her X amount. So I'm going to say 0.05X. She also got to she got to earn 8%, so 0.08 of her Y amount. And we know that her total income, and that's what this is income, is $100. So now we have a system of equations that we can solve using whatever method we want. I'm going to use substitution just because I've already done elimination a couple of times already. So I'm going to change this one to Y equals 1,400 minus X. And then I'm going to plug that in right here for Y. So 0.05X plus 0.08 times 1,400 minus X equals 100. Do some magic math and blah, blah, blah. Solve for X and you get 400. You guys don't want to see me do all those computations. You believe me, right? X is 400. All right, so now I need Y. Well, I know that X plus Y has to add up to 1,400, so therefore 1,400 minus 400 gives me a Y of 1,000. And if you got this far, you'd get most of the points, but I still need that sentence that answers the question. Mrs. Mueller invested $400 at 5% and $1,000 at 8%. Okay, last problem, and I know you're tired, I know you don't want to do another one, but this one's important because of the way it's worded, and so I'm going to talk you through it. Alright, Callie's Dress Shop sold cheaper dresses for $90 each and more expensive dresses for $140 each. They took in a total of $5,250 and sold 20 more of the cheaper dresses than the expensive ones. How much of each kind did they sell? So this gets tough because it says 20 more of the cheaper dresses than the expensive ones. So first we need to define our variables. We can use X and Y or C and E for cheap and expensive. It's up to you. I mean, you could use W and P for all I care as long as you define your variables on the page. All right, so C is our number of cheap dresses. E is our number of expensive dresses. And we know that cheap dresses cost $90, so we're going to say 90C. And expensive dresses cost $140, so 140E. And we know they sold a total of, or they made $5,250. Alright, now the hard part. They sold 20 more of the cheaper dresses than the expensive ones. So we have to figure out how to write that into an equation. 20 more means we're going to add 20. But are we going to add 20 to C or are we going to add 20 to E? you just think, what do we have more of? We have more cheap dresses. So I'm going to say C for cheap dresses equals, and then I'm going to add the 20 to the expensive dresses. So think about this. Think about your numbers and the way they are. C is now 20 more than E. That's what that says. If you thought about it the other way around and you try to add the 20 to the C because it says 20 more cheap, then you would be actually increasing the number of E because it would be what it equals. So just think about that when you write it down. Take what's bigger, put the equals, and then add the number to the smaller one. So now I have a system of equations. It's already set up nicely for substitution. So we're going to go 90 times 20 plus E plus 140E equals 5,250. And, distribute and combine like terms and all that other fun stuff, and you will get a C of, an E of 15. Okay, E equals 15. Then C is 20 plus E, and 20 plus 15 is 35. So we have our final answer. Callie sold 35 cheaper dresses and 15 more expensive dresses. Please forgive my handwriting. I'm in the car right now. I'm not driving the car, but I'm sitting in the car, so I don't have a desk. And now, if you've made it all the way through this video, I have one last thing to tell you about that you're going to want to know. Next week is homecoming week, and we have themes for every day of the week next week. We have Matching Monday, where you're supposed to find a friend to match outfits with. We have Red, White, and Blue Tuesday, so something patriotic. Wednesday is Disney Day. Thursday is Team Spirit Day, and that means like any team that you want, college or professional or whatever. And Friday is wear your mums their garters, or if you don't have either of those, you can just wear College Park clothing. And so what we have all decided in Algebra 2 to do is to give you one test point for each day that you participate. So on Monday, I know that your friend might not be in your math class, but just take a selfie of you and your friend and show it to me. You'll get a test point. If you wear patriotic clothes on Tuesday, there's a test point. Something Disney related, it could be a costume or it could just be a shirt. On Wednesday, Team Spirit, so, some kind of a sports jersey or something on Thursday. And your mum garter, or if you don't have that, I already said this, College Park clothing. Your band shirt is fine, whatever, on Friday. And you can have up to 5 extra test points. So I know that you're glad you watched all the way to the end of this video now, and you guys have a wonderful weekend. Find somebody to match with, because I'll see you guys Monday. Bye!